Hey guys, and welcome to Coding for Kids. In this video, we are going to be learning about CSS Pseudo Classes. So if you guys didn't understand what pseudo classes is, or if you guys just didn't get this word at all, do not worry, because we're going to be going over this in a little bit. So first, let's get into the overview of the video. So in this video, we're going to be talking about CSS pseudo classes, and we're going to be learning what is a CSS pseudo class. Then we're going to be looking at the common CSS pseudo classes, which are hover, link, active, visited, and first child. And then finally, we're going to be doing some coding with CSS pseudo classes. So it's really short. It's not that long. So let's just jump right into it. So what is a CSS pseudo class? So a CSS pseudo class is a specific keyword which is combined to the selector that defines the special state of the specified elements. So you will get this more when we actually go over some of the pseudo classes. So you can see the syntax. What we'll do is we put the selector, for example, let's say P or H1 or something, and then we put a colon mark, and then we put our pseudo class. It could be anything, and then we put our curly braces and our CSS inside. So let's look at the common CSS pseudo classes. So we have active, and this is used to add style to an active element. For example, if we had a link, basically this pseudo class would add CSS right when you're clicking on that link, because right then the link is active, it's working. Then we have our hover pseudo class. So this adds specific effects or special effects to an element when the user moves the mouse pointer over the element. For example, if let's say this was a H1 heading, let's say I just moved my cursor over it, you could then, like, for example, let's say your mouse is hovering over a CSS element or a HTML element. Then this hover pseudo class will add CSS because it is hovering over the element. Then we have links. So this adds style to the unvisited links. For example, let's say we added a few links in our web page, and let's say one of the links are Google. Let's say we haven't visited Google yet, so then we'll add CSS because it's not visited yet. Visited it adds style to visited links. So let's say you have a link in your web page and the user has already visited that that link or that web page. Then then it would add CSS since it is a visited link. And first child, it adds special effects to an element, which is the first child of another element. And you guys will get this more when we go over them individually. So the hover and link pseudo classes. So the hover pseudo class adds CSS to an element when the user's cursor hovers over the element. For example, if we put H1 hover, and then let's say when we hover over it, we want the color to be blue. So let's say our heading is orange, and when we hover over it, then it becomes blue. The link pseudo class adds CSS to a link that has not been visited by the user. For example, let's say we have a link and it has not been visited yet, then you would put a link, and then if it has been visited, or if it hasn't been visited, it'll be red. So let's say we have an unvisited link, the color would be red. Now we have active and visited pseudo classes. So the active pseudo class applies CSS to an element when clicked or activated. So right when we're clicking on the element, mostly a link, right when you click it, it'll change color. And this is a very short kind of, I guess, movement or change, just because your link will be active for maybe a second and then it'll take you to the window, and right when it takes you to another tab or window, then it'll automatically be visited because you're on the link. So this active is like for 2 seconds or something, and it automatically changes. The visited pseudo class selects the visited links and adds CSS to them. So let's say if you already visited the link and you've closed out of the tab and you're back into your web page, then it'll have this visited because you've already visited the link, you've already been to it. So that is the active and visited pseudo classes. And then we have our first child pseudo class. So the first child pseudo class represents the first element among all its sibling elements. For example, let's say we have 3 paragraphs. This will only select the first paragraph since it is like the first child among all the elements. Even if we have 3 paragraphs, first one would be the first child. So the first child pseudo class only adds it to the first paragraph or the first element among all the others, all its siblings. And you can see right here we have a little example. So that was all of pseudo classes. So now let's get to coding. So go to code.org and sign in. Now it's time to start coding for our CSS pseudo classes. So I've already put all of the pseudo classes in one document. So we're just going to be going over it and seeing exactly how they work. So let's get coding. So guys, I am in the code.org project, so CSS Pseudo Classes. So first I'm just going to be going over the HTML. So I have a H3 heading, then I have 4 links. We have YouTube, we have Google Slides, we have code.org, and just Google. Then we have 2 paragraphs, as you can see right here. And yeah, pretty much it. There's not that much CSS going on. There's not that much HTML going on. So now to our CSS. So first I just have a body. I just changed the color of the whole web page, so that's not big change. Then we have our anchor tag and we have our link. So if it hasn't been visited yet, it'll be this color, which is just like this purple kind of color. But since I've already visited all these links, because they're very frequent links I go to all the time, so I've visited all of them already. So this one you can't really see it because I've already visited them, but just know that if it hasn't been visited yet, it'll change color or it'll be a different color. Then we have visited. So I visited all of these links, so it's hot pink. It's the color hot pink. So you can see right there, it's a very pink color. And then we have hover. So when I hover over it, it should be this kind of bluish kind of color. So you can see it is a blue kind of color when I'm hovering over the link. So I'm not essentially clicking over it. I'm just kind of hovering over them and just putting my mouse over them. Then we have actives. So when I'm clicking on the link, it should be a very dark color. So I'm just gonna click Google. And you can see right there, it was very split. It was for a very split second, it was a very dark color. So here. Okay, yeah, you get it. I told you again, the active is very quick just because the link will be active for a second and then it won't be active anymore. So it's very quick. And then we have our first child. So you can see right here, this paragraph is our first child since it is the first among the 2 paragraphs. So only that one is this purplish kind of color. That one is the only one that's purple. This one is just regular old black. And then for the links, I just added some background color and removed the underline. So yeah, that was it for our coding. There isn't much to it. It was just and our very basic pseudo classes have a lot to do with links. There's a lot to do with links. So yeah. So now that we've done our coding portion of the video, I'm going to be going back to the slideshow so we can kind of review and we can just quickly wrap up the video. So I'm going to go back to the slideshow to finish up the video. Well, guys, for review, we learned what is a CSS pseudo class. We learned about the common CSS pseudo classes, which are the hover, link, active, visited, and first child pseudo classes. And then finally, we did some coding. So guys, thank you for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. And yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video and I'll see you guys next time. And also do not forget that I always have these slideshows linked in the description below. So if you ever feel you want to review some of the content concepts. For example, if you forgot what are the like different types of CSS selectors, all you need to do is instead of like watching my videos, you can also just go to the slideshows I've created, and that'll be like a quick way to review. So yeah, that was it for the video, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye, guys.